A picture is worth 1,000 words. And the exhibition Beyond Prejudice offers the public here the chance to indulge in the beautiful portraits of our furry friends who were rescued from the local dog meat trade and given a new leash on life, so to speak. So how were these dogs rescued? What efforts are underway to better protect dogs here? And is the nation's public perception about animal rights changing? Welcome to Issues and Insiders. Today we shed light on a rather meaningful exhibition currently underway here in Seoul that seeks to share the new lives of dogs that were rescued from the local dog meat trade. For more on this, I have award-winning French photographer Sophie Gamand here in the studio. Sophie, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I also have Borami, Director of Government Affairs at the Humane Society International Korea with us as well. Borami, it's good to have you here as well.
Thank you for having me.
Right, Sophie, let's start with a few words about your latest exhibition, which I understand was proposed to you by the Humane Society International Korea.
Absolutely, yeah. The exhibit is currently on view at the Metro Out Center. And it's going to be up until this Thursday at 4 p.m. And it's open to the public, it's free, and we really hope people are going to come and enjoy the portraits. The portraits feature dogs who have been rescued from dog meat farms in South Korea by Humane Society International and have since been adopted into families.
I see. How many portraits do you have?
Oh, in the exhibit, the total campaign is 45 portraits, and the exhibit a little less. Actually, I haven't counted.
Right, but there are enough portraits.
Yes, there's enough to spend a nice half hour enjoying the stories and the portraits. There's a lot to learn and to look at, so it's a fun exhibit.
Right. And Borami, for the sake of our viewers who may not be familiar with your organization, the Humane Society International Korea, could you tell us a bit about it and its mission?
Sure. So Humane Society International Korea is a Seoul-based NGO, and the Humane Society International Korea, Humane Society International has country offices and projects in around 50 countries, and our work involves around tackling the suffering of animals. So that's including trophy hunting, wildlife exploitation, intensive farming, dog meat trade issues across Asia, of course, and animals used in research and other rescues and other issues as well. So our work is combination of raising public awareness, and also we work with the government ministries to change the law to protect animals, campaigns with investigations, rescues, academic research, and variety of work.
And how old is the Humane Society International Korea? When was it
Korea
set up?
is actually not very old. We are formally registered under the Ministry of Industry in Ministry of Environment in 2018. So it's been a few years, but we've been running these rescue operations, Borders for Change, since 2015.
Apart from the workers there, do you have a lot of volunteers?
Not yet, but we are hoping to engage with more volunteers and then like-minded people.
Right, good to know. Sophie, what prompted you now to accept the proposal for this project by the Humane Society International Korea?
Well, as an artist, I'm really interested in the relationship between dogs and humans. It's a more than 20,000-year-old friendship, and dogs have been so loyal to us. They've been perfect companions. And I'm particularly interested in exploring areas where that friendship has been betrayed, where humans act cruelly and maybe, really disrupt that bond. And of course, the dog meat trade is probably one of the prime examples of that trust and friendship being betrayed.
And Sophie, is there a reason behind your interest in animals at shelters, broadly speaking?
Yeah, I think for me, it's about making these dogs who are mostly invisible to the public, visible. My photos are here to, bring them dignity and make sure they are seen and that their stories are told. So shelter dogs, as well as dogs who are trapped in the dog meat trade and live on farms, their stories are never really told. And often, they die in a way that is meaningless. And so my work is here to bring meaning to their lives and sometimes their death, and maybe prompt society to change.
And staying with us, Sophie, do tell us about your earlier project. I believe it was called Flower Power. You were seeking to shift public perception over in the US with regard to pit bulls. Could you tell us a bit more about that endeavor?
Yeah, Pitbull Flower Power is a project I started now a decade ago. It's actually, and it's been an amazing project. I photographed about 450 pit bulls in animal shelters across the United States, all wearing unique flower crowns that I made for them. The idea was to rebrand these dogs who are so profoundly misunderstood, which leads to people being afraid of adopting them, and therefore a lot of them being euthanized in shelters. So it was very similar to the work we're trying to do with the dog meat farm. And the project was really successful. I think it shifted the conversation internationally around these dogs because the project was picked up by the media and it's had really a profound impact.
Did it lead to a lot of adoptions in the US?
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. A lot of my models were adopted, sometimes thanks to the photo itself, but also because it changed the conversation. So people would come to the shelter and say, can I meet the flower dogs? Instead of asking for, I don't want to see any pit bulls.
And staying with that idea about flower dogs, what was behind that idea?
It was actually really because I was afraid of pit bulls myself. And, the media often portrays them as monsters. And so I wanted to infuse a more soft, feminine energy into their image and using art as a tool for that. And I figured, flower crowns, what is more feminine and fragile? It's about celebrating them as it's a life, and a life is fleeting, and it deserves to be celebrated.
What was it working with them? What was it like working with them when you put the crowns on their heads?
I will tell you, at first, I was really nervous. I thought, this dog doesn't know me, and I'm about to wrap my hands around their head. It is very confrontational for dogs, But from the first model, I just had such an incredible experience. Dogs want to trust humans, and that is the most poignant thing about them. They want to trust. They want to always be with us, and they will do anything for us. And this is why it gives us a big responsibility to treat them with compassion and kindness and make sure they are protected from our worst traits.
Right. Borami, the stars of Sophie's latest exhibition here in Seoul are survivors of the dog meat trade, as she has clarified, and they were rescued by your entity, the Humane Society International Korea, under a program called Models for Change. Could you tell us a bit more about this program and its achievements thus far?
Sure. So Models for Change was started in 2015, and back then we are hearing from many farmers that they actually want to step away from this cruel industry, but they just didn't know how to, and so they will get pressure from family members, and also there is a decreasing demand for the dog meat consumption as well. So and then there are also the remaining dogs, so they just didn't know what to do. So by having conversation with them, we started to understand that okay, we can work cooperatively with them. So it's a kind of a win-win situation. The farmers get to be away from their business, and they also want to get away from this vicious cycle of breeding and selling dogs for consumption every year. And for dogs, they get to be given second chance. So we've been working with the farmers for the past since 2015, and then it's been very incredible to see their responses, and also to see the rescued dogs, how they can be just like other pet dogs. There is no such thing as meat dogs or pet dogs. So it's been very incredible journey, and the Models for Change is the only program of its kind in South Korea, because we believe that we can phase out the dog meat farm through cooperation rather than causing conflict. So the idea behind it is to show blueprint to the government that we can work this in harmonization. So it's been an incredible journey.
What happens to the dogs who are rescued from these farms? Yeah,
so these rescued dogs, they are moved to the US or the Canada, and then they will be staying at our rehabilitation center, and they will go through individual training with our experienced team. And then different dogs have different personalities. So some might find it kind of difficult. It's difficult to think that these dogs are coming from very different, difficult background, and how can they become a companion dogs? But then when they go through those trainings, and then once they get to start to trust humans, it's just very rewarding experience as well. And so yeah, it's been great to see how they change.
I also understand a number of Korean celebrities have taken to adopting these dogs from the farms. Could you tell us a bit more about that as well?
Yeah, so so one of the stars of this exhibition is a dog retriever called Juliet, and Juliet it's been adopted by Daniel Henney, Korean actor. And I saw Juliet at the farm. I met Juliet at the farm for the first time, and then I remember she didn't have any facial express on her face. Like her face was very, very bored, very kind of scared and nervous around the people. But when I was petting her, she didn't deny, and she wanted to be petted more. And then after she was rescued from the property, we could see that like she was showing interest and being curious, like what's going on, and sniffing out. And now she's living the best life with Daniel Henney in the United States, and just like how dogs should be living.
Right, right. Borami, could you tell me a bit more about this relationship that your entity has been able to forge with dog farmers? I understand it's a productive one, like you mentioned earlier. Could you tell us a bit more about that relationship?
Yeah, so we actually hear from farmers approaching to HSI Korea that they want to find a way to get out of this industry. And also we sometimes get calls from their relatives or family members asking, oh, they heard about this story, like where we come and rescue the dogs and then close down the farm, and how they can work with us. And so that's very kind of like cases we are building up through the Models for Change program. And sometimes we get to meet with farmers who we worked previously to close the farm, and then we show them the footages, like videos of the videos and pictures of the rescued dogs from the same farm. And then their first expression is that they can't believe they are looking at the same dog who used to be very trapped and frustrated in the farm, and now living the best life, like running around the farm, like rivers, running around the sea, like mountains, and playing with the children. And so, it's also very rewarding to see that these voices spread, voice of farmers and their views on the dogs. Now they see that, you know, these dogs can really deserve the second chance, and then they can be really be found with a happy family. And then the word spreads to other farmers, and the other farmers contact us trying to figure out, you know, how we can work together. And then also they want to like provide a better life for the remaining dogs when they shut down the property. So that's how it's been working.
Right, I see. And Sophie, I understand that prior to the pandemic, you were actually at a dog farm here in Korea back in the year 2019, I believe. What was that experience like?
It was very important for me to actually visit a farm before starting working on this project. I needed to see where these dogs were born, how they lived, and understand within my bones, you know, what really means to be a dog meat dog. It was a really profound, overwhelming experience for all my senses. First, it was very hot and smelly, and the dogs are barking, they're bored, they are scared. Some are very friendly and are begging you to pet them. They want so much love, even though they've never felt a kind hand before. They want it. And the thing I think that stayed with me the most after my visit was that cage, that disgusting, rusty, dangerous, exposed cage where they live is their entire world. And around them, the world is ever changing, the seasons, birds are flying, but they will never feel the grass under their paws. They will never be a part of the world. They are kept outside in limbo until they are slaughtered. And that, for me, was probably the most cruel aspect. I know the slaughter is horrible, but for me, the idea that they were sentient beings trapped in limbo like this was what really broke my heart.
What were you trying to bring to light then through this exhibition?
I really want people to connect with each individual story, each individual dog. I want people to look into the eyes of these big portraits. And the portraits are really big, so you are completely immersed. And I want people to look into these eyes and feel the spirit of these dogs and ask themselves, did that dog deserve that fate? You know, it's something really profound to emotionally connect to the individual dogs.
And I'm sure all of them struck a chord with you, but was there one particular story that you remember about these dogs?
Oh yeah, all of them really touched me, but Sam is probably the one I kept with me because he was one of those dogs that was completely friendly and refused even to eat his food. He wanted to be petted, and I have videos of I would put my hand in the rusty cage and he would shove his head in my hand and go on his back for belly rubs, really showing all the signs of a pet dog that has been around people, despite having been born and raised on a farm. And I was really looking forward to seeing him again. And he actually is a part of the campaign, and his portrait is at the exhibit. And he did so well because he's so connected to humans. He wants to please, he wants to learn. He's very smart. And our photo shoot was so easy that I got maybe 10 portraits out of the session. And it was very hard to choose which one to exhibit.
Right. And staying with that, what was it like working with these brave dogs for the photo shoot? I understand you didn't have like a flower crown for the portraits
No,
here.
we used collars this time, so I handmade all these neck pieces and collars. The idea was to symbolize, you know, the collar is such a personal object that you put on your dog when you claim them as a companion. You put their name on the collar maybe, or you choose a collar at the shop that is going to reflect the kind of relationship you want with your dog. And so it's also like a wedding band. It's about a commitment. I'm going to love you, protect you, feed you. So for this series, because we wanted to portray these dogs as companion and not just meat, the collar became this symbol of, it tells a story, it elevates the dog, and it's about love and commitment.
And for each dog, you had a different collar then?
Yes, absolutely. They each were a custom-made.
Right, I see. Good to know. Borami, are these courageous canines able to find lasting refuge in their new homes, you think? I mean, also keeping in mind, of course, which you touched upon earlier, the sufferings that they endured. Are they able to easily adjust to their new surroundings?
So, yeah, these dogs are born and raised at the farm. So the farm is the entire world that they know. So it's only understandable that when humans come to them, they can be quite like wary of our touches. So during the rescue operation, we visit the farm again and again, and then we can see them they seem to understand we are there to take care of them, not the opposite. So it's kind of like we are building some sort of like trust each other. And through our rehabilitation center, they will go through the trainings, and each different dogs have different personalities. So some dogs may take some time, but some dogs, they may show like immediate kind of response during the rescues. As soon as they get out of the cage, they will sniff out, and then they show like an interest, trying to figure out what's going on. And then their face expressions also change, they kind of open up to humans. And so that's also a very rewarding experience to have that connection with each dogs. And so they are now adopted in the US, Canada, the Netherlands, and the UK. And we are keeping in touch with the adoptive families. And then the stories we hear about how they developed their personalities through their journey, it's also very unique for each individual dogs.
Right, and of course very rewarding, as you mentioned earlier. Borami, on the political front, both ruling and opposition parties here in the country appear to support the banning of dog meat. And that being said, do you believe there's been a broad consensus perhaps within the Korean public to end the trade of dog meat? And if that is the case, what is your entity seeking to do?
Right. Yeah, so I think this time is right more than ever to discuss coming everyone together politically and societally to banning dog meat. And it is Korea is working on raising public awareness, such as through this exhibition. And also we work with the government and politicians to be able to create the political kind of consensus. And until some years ago, politicians didn't speak up publicly showing their support for banning dog meat. But we heard some months ago, a first lady, that she showed interest in banning dog meat. And then soon after that, both Democrat parties and the People's Power Party, they said that they are going to prepare for the bills to ban dog meat. So, and then we did the nationwide opinion poll, and the poll result shows that 85% of the respondents say that they have never tried dog meat and they will not try. And among those tried, 50% respondents said that they had to do so just because there was a peer pressure from their colleagues or family members. And about 60% of respondents said that they actually support banning dog meat in South Korea. So the society is changing and it's ready, and then politically as well, the consensus is there is strong evidence that showing the consensus that we are getting closer to banning dog meat industry in Korea forever.
Right, good to know.
Yeah.
I suppose this is too early to ask, but after the exhibition that you have, which I believe is going to take place until this coming Thursday, after this particular exhibition, does your entity have any other plans with regard to the dog meat trade, or banning it, that is?
Oh yeah, of course. We are going to continue our public engagement campaigns, just raising awareness that there is no such thing as meat dog, pet dogs, and also politically we are in conversation with different offices, trying to find how we can kind of move forward from here, because there is a strong societal evidence that the public is ready, and then politically we've been hearing some strong voices. That's been very unprecedented. So let's take this moment and then momentum, and then let's step forward, and then really, give these dogs a second chance that they deserve.
Right, of course. Sophie, as an artist, as a photographer, of course, and an animal rights advocate, what are your thoughts regarding your potential role in perhaps changing laws in countries to better protect our furry friends, if I may?
First, it's such an honor to be a part of a campaign, and I absolutely love the work that HSI Korea is doing. I will say art is such a powerful tool. By creating those emotional connections, we are really able to change cultures and change humanity for the better. I really believe that. I think people are good, and people are able to experience compassion. Sadly, humans are also really good at cognitive dissonance and are creating separation, like pet dogs versus meat dogs. This is a mental construct that we have invented to protect ourselves from our bad choices. But ultimately, I think we can show the way, and those portraits and this exhibit is a great opportunity for the public to connect to the spirit of these dogs and hopefully become better guardians for our dogs, our animals, and the planet at large.
Sophie, do you have any furry friends at home?
Yes, I do have a little dog.
And this little dog was from a shelter as well? Or?
He was from an animal control facility in Puerto Rico, and they were about to euthanize him because he was a street dog, and they have a lot of them, and he didn't look cute enough. And there was something about him that was just so special, and he's a wonderful companion. I'm so glad he made it, and I hope many more dogs can have that chance.
Sophie, can we look forward to seeing more exhibitions by you with regard to other animals aside from canines, like cats?
Dogs are there's an endless supply of stories. They've been with us for so long, and they're really like a perfect link between the natural world and the human world. And I really believe that if we learn to listen to them and understand what they're telling us, we can transform humanity. They're spiritual guides in a way. We can learn so much. So I want to help people, listen to dogs better.
Right, I see. I only asked because my daughter saw a couple of your pictures online, of course, and she was interested. She wanted to know whether you were interested in working with cats, which are her favorite animals as well.
I have, some cats, but I don't feel that same connection. I'm sorry.
Right,
I'm a dog.
No problem there. Borami, what message does the Humane Society International Korea hope to perhaps share with those who come to see Sophie's latest exhibition?
Yeah, so the message that we would like to share with the public is in the title, Beyond Prejudice. So again, there is an increasing number of population living with companion dogs, pet dogs, and yet there are still belief, this myth and prejudice that there are dogs bred separately for consumption versus for pets. So we want to change that kind of social perception, and also through this exhibition, we hope to build the social momentum in support of our effort in banning dog meat industry in Korea.
Right, I see. Well, best of luck with that endeavor then.
Thank you very much.
All right, Borami, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts today. And Sophie, it's been an absolute honor.
Thank you.
Right, well, that ends Tuesday's edition of Issues and Insiders. We return same time tomorrow. That is Wednesday, so do join us then.